The two key mandates for this new law involve engineering inspections and reserve funding. What's called a milestone inspection means a structural inspection of a building, including load-bearing walls and the primary structural members and systems, which must be done by a licensed architect or engineer. There are two phases to a milestone inspection. Phase 1 is a visual inspection of the building by a licensed architect or engineer. If the architect or engineer doesn't find any signs of substantial structural deterioration to any building components, a phase 2 inspection is not required. Obviously, if they do find structural deterioration in any of the items, a phase 2 inspection is required. A phase 2 inspection must be performed by a licensed architect or engineer. The phase 2 inspection can involve destructive or non-destructive testing at the inspector's option. The inspection may be as limited or as extensive as required to fully assess the structural distress in order to determine that the building is structurally safe and sound for its intended use. The other requirement is what's called a structural integrity reserve study. And you heard my partner Patrick mention the reserve study earlier. This means a study of the reserve funds required for all future major repairs and replacements of common areas based on a visual inspection of the common areas. The structural reserve study can be prepared by any person qualified to prepare the study. However, as Patrick mentioned, the visual inspection portion of the structural integrity reserve study must be performed by a licensed engineer and architect. An association must have a structural integrity reserve study completed at least every 10 years after the condominium's creation for each building on the property that is 3 stories or higher in height. And there's some additional requirements in this structural integrity reserve study that have not been in previous reserve studies. What the structural integrity reserve study must include comprises roofs, load-bearing walls or other primary structures, floors, foundations, fireproofing and fire protection systems, plumbing, electrical systems, waterproofing and exterior painting, and windows. Now, obviously, there are some questions about some of these items: foundations, load-bearing walls, windows. And again, we're expecting some clarification on some of these items in the upcoming legislative session. Of course, any other item that has a deferred maintenance expense or replacement costs that exceeds $10,000, which would negatively affect any of the above, also has to be part of the reserves. Also, in regard to reserve funding, as of January 1st, 2025, associations will no longer be able to fully waive reserve fundings or waive reserve funding at all. And associations will not be able to vote to use reserves for other than intended purposes. So the takeaway is, if you're soliciting proposals for a reserve study, make sure you have these proposals reviewed by your association counsel to make sure they're in compliance with the new requirements. Many engineering companies have not updated their proposals to include the new requirements. Of course, if you have any questions, reach out to your association attorney, and we're always here to help you.